amazing. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate it. There's a trillion places you could be, and you chose to be here with me. That's amazing. It's incredible. It's a little dark, which is not so good for black folks like me. Could use a little light in here, Sean Bradley. But no, I'm kidding. This is amazing. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. I greatly, greatly appreciate it. I got to tell you a quick story. Is that cool? Can we start there?
Let's go.
1999. We're going to go back in time just a little bit. 1999. I'm working at a call center for a company called America Online. Anybody remember America Online? Dude, America Online was the bomb back in the day. It was the only way you could get on the internet, right? You had to pay this thing and you had this dial-up. Who remembers dial-up? Who still has dial-up in their dealership? Come on, there's one or two of y'all. I know how this industry is, right? So I'm working for this company called America Online. I'm calling pissed off customers every day. They're mad because we billed them for 6 months when we weren't supposed to. The dial-up's not working the way it's supposed to. I'm calling them. They've already canceled their accounts. I'm calling saying, hey, I'll give you 6 free months of AOL if you come back on. And they'd hang up on me. That's how bad it was. I was giving them 6 free months. And they would hang up on me. Who in here takes calls with customers every day? Where's my calls with customers? You know what I'm talking about, right? You guys are trying to sell something. I was just trying to give it away. It was so bad. So I'm sitting there. I'm like, I hate this job. I hate it. I hate every bit of this job. People are hanging up on me. I even made up a fake name. My name was Mike Jetta. That was my name. I'm like, yeah, this is Mike Jetta with Sterner & Klein calling about your American Online account. They're like, oh, is that German? I don't know. Maybe. Right? So I'm sitting there. I go into the break room. I'm sitting in the break room one day. Miserable job. Hate my job. I'm sitting in the break room, and I see an ad in a newspaper. And it says, make $5,000 a month guaranteed. And there was a phone number. That's all it said. Make $5,000 a month guaranteed. And a phone number. Now, back in 1999, I was like, if I could make $5,000 a month, like I'm a player, right? This is the game. I'm rich. I can do whatever I want. Not so true anymore, right? So $5,000 a month guarantee. So I call this phone number. They're like, yeah, meet us at this address for an interview. I'm like, all right, cool. What is this place? They're like, don't worry about it. Just meet us at this address for an interview. I'm like, all right, cool, right? So next day, get in the car, go down. I got this interview scheduled. I pull up, Planet Nissan Subaru. It's a car dealership. I'm like, the car? Like, I never even thought about, like, car. I don't want to sell car. Car dealers suck. They're mean, they're rude, they lie, they cheat, they steal. Well, I guess I probably do some of those things too. But I don't want to be in the car business. That was my initial reaction, right? But I'm here, I'm at the address, and they said I could make $5,000 a month guaranteed. So I interview with this guy. He's the GM of this dealership. He's 24. He's 24 years old. He's the GM of a dealership. They just bought it a month before I got there. So he gives me this interview, right? He's asking all the questions, which, by the way, the ladies that were up here earlier, they talked about changing the verbiage in your ads. If you're having a hard time recruiting and attracting people, stop talking about the car business. Come be a salesperson. Come be this. Come be that. People don't want to do anything like that. Just run an ad that says make $5,000 a month guaranteed. See what happens. Just change the language, man. Get them in the room, dude. Get them in the room. So anyway, so I go through this interview process, ask me all these questions. At the end of the interview, he says, you know what? I think you'd be a great car salesperson. When would you like to start? I said, well, I have another job, so I need to give them 2 weeks' notice and let them know that I'm going to be leaving. He goes, well, I'm sorry about that. I was actually looking for someone who could start tomorrow. I said, well, I guess I'm going to start tomorrow, right? And I should have known right then that there was something a little bit off. He had zero respect for this idea of me letting other people know what I was doing. He didn't want anything to do with that. So the next day, I go into this dealership, right? I quit my other job. I walk into this dealership. I go into, it's a Saturday morning. There's a little meeting room. You guys know the little meeting room? Right? Who's got little Saturday morning meeting rooms? right? It's got the little table in there, maybe a couple chairs. There's like old helium tanks and balloons hanging off everywhere, right? So you guys know what I'm talking about. So I go into this little like tiny room and they're like, all right, great. Here's what you're going to do. Watch these videos. When you're ready, go take an up. I'm like, what's an up? I don't even know what that means. So I watch these VCR. You guys remember VCRs? Yep. I'm really dating myself on this story, right? But he's got these VCRs, and I put in this tape, and on the tape it says Grant Cardone. Anybody know Grant Cardone? So it says Grant Cardone 101 objections or something like that, right? So I start watching these Grant Cardone tapes. And I start learning all these different lines and things that I'm supposed to say, right? Oh, the price is too high. Do it anyway, right? You guys remember that one, right? Lean on the pin. I can't afford it in my budget. Well, you know, if you can't afford this, maybe you should lift up your... Okay, no, we're not going to go that way, right? But there was some bad stuff I used to learn in these things. And so I go out there, I start selling cars. First vehicle I ever sold was a Nissan Xterra manual transmission, yellow in color. You guys remember those? Manual transmission Nissan Xterra, yellow in color. I sold it to a 19-year-old young lady that had no idea how to drive a stick. She didn't have a clue. We were up in the back, and I'm like, just come on, you can get this, I need this deal. Like, just lean in, no, a little less on the clutch, You got to find the spot, right? First car I ever sold. Fast forward, they started teaching me all the things about automotive. They started teaching me trunking. Do you guys remember trunking, people? Did you guys ever hear that or do that? They started teaching us trunking. That's where you open the trunk of the car and you say, there's so much space in here, you could fit a body in here. As a matter of fact, why don't you climb in? I'll show you. And all the other salespeople are looking out the window laughing because we got a customer in the trunk. They taught me that. They also taught me these PA systems. We had these old school PA systems, right? For you younger people, like phones used to have cords. So we used to have these old PA systems. And on these PA systems, we had a phone in every office. And you could push a little button from the desk, and you could listen and hear what the customers were saying when you weren't in the room. It was awesome. They taught me that. They taught me a lot of things about this industry that stereotypically are true. So fast forward, I sold a lot of cars, made a lot of money, became a sales manager at that dealership. I also became a general sales manager at that dealership. I also spent 2 years in finance at that dealership, which finance was fun back then. You guys have no idea. We'd do some deals on Saturday, Monday morning, I'd be faxing them over. Right? Faxing over, asking for approvals. John Patterson, AmeriCredit. I'll never forget him. He was my favorite bank rep. John Patterson at AmeriCredit. I'd fax him a bunch of deals, and then I'd send him a picture of my daughter. Say, my daughter needs some new shoes, man. You got to buy this deal. And then you have to wait. It was terrible, right? So I went from sales to finance to sales manager to general sales manager. I worked in that dealership for 8 years. Over that course of my career, I made a lot of money. My career clearly advanced. The dealership itself never grew. Never. They were selling 120 cars a month when I started. They were selling 120 cars a month 8 years later. My career advanced. The dealership never grew. And my life outside of that dealership was awful. It was utterly awful. At that dealership, we worked Monday through Sunday. You had every other Sunday off. We were bell to bell every single day. I remember asking my boss one time if I could leave to go to my oldest daughter's soccer game on a Saturday. And his specific words were, "Is your family more important than your career?" At the time, I was like, I don't know, bro. Like, I'm 21 years old. I'm making some money. Like, I don't know. Is my family more important than my career? Well, maybe it's not supposed to be. And so that was the choice that I made. Put my family on the back burner. Put my health on the back burner, drinking, drugging, partying. By the time we get off work at 9, 10 o'clock at night, then we go to the bar, have a couple drinks, get up the next morning, do it all over again. 8 years. So I learned all these bad habits in auto. My career advanced, the dealership went nowhere, and my life outside of the dealership was terrible. One day, I made a decision. It was a wonderful decision, by the way. One day, I made a decision that I was going to make a bad choice. I was going to make a bad choice. I was going to go out, I was going to do some partying, I was going to do some drinking, and I was going to do this while I had my oldest daughter in my custody at the time. Not in the car, but in my custody. This choice, connected with many others, caused my ex-girlfriend at the time to make a choice of her own. She chose to take custody of my oldest daughter. So at 6 years old, I lost custody of my daughter. Her name's Kira. And for the next 8 years, I had zero contact with her. When that decision was made, I made the decision that the car business was not for me. That the way that I was living my life did not fit the identity that I wanted to have. And so instead, I decided I was going to be a professional poker player. Yeah. That's right. This car business is for the birds. I'm going to go hang out in casinos all day. It was a brilliant idea. And as you can tell, I was a brilliant dude at the time, right? Like I lived in Flagstaff, Arizona. It snows 7 months out of the year, and I was driving a rear-wheel drive Ford Mustang. Like, brilliant, right? So I made a decision to be a professional poker player. So I left. I went to Las Vegas. I had some money in my pocket. I had it all mapped out. I was going to play cards from 10 a.m. till 8 p.m. I was either going to triple up or I was going to lose a couple $100. I had it all mapped out, man. It was going to be amazing. 2 weeks later, I was sitting in my Mustang with an empty gas tank, not a dollar to my name. Warrants out for my arrest for bad checks, unlawful disorderlies, and nowhere to turn. I made a phone call to a woman I had met through ADP, which, by the way, again, the women up here earlier, like women have saved my life over and over and over again. So thank you to all the amazing women that are in this room and the amazing women that are in my life. I would not be anywhere without the women that are in my life, right? So I called ADP. Do you guys remember ADP? So I called this rep from ADP. She lived in San Diego, California. I'm like, hey, I need a break. I got nowhere to go. Can you take me in? She takes me in for a little bit. I screw that up. Fast forward. Here I am homeless in San Diego, California. 2009. Now, I don't know if any of you have ever experienced homelessness before, but the worst part about homelessness isn't that you don't have a roof above your head or a place to lay your head. The worst part about homelessness is that you become invisible. See, every day of homelessness was the same. There was a bus that I could ride that ran 24 hours in the city, so I would sleep on the bus at night. Next morning, they'd kick me off the bus at 6 a.m. I'd start scouring the streets and the beaches to try to find some change so that I could get a sausage McMuffin with egg and an orange juice. Anybody know why sausage McMuffin with egg and an orange juice? So I could hit all the food groups, dude. I mean, what are you guys talking about? I mean, let's go. Got to stay healthy, right? Crazy, the way our brains used to work, Sean Bradley. So I'd eat that, right? And I would sit. I remember sitting on the beach. I used to sit on the beach. I used to look at this beach house. It was this big, beautiful beach house. It was 2 stories. It was blue. They had a big table in the back on the back patio with some lounger chairs. And I used to just sit on the beach, and I used to eat my sausage and muffin, and I used to look at that house, and I used to ask myself, like, dude, who is in that house? Like, who is in that house? What are they doing? Who are they? And more importantly, like, who am I? Then I'd spend the rest of the day just scrounging to try to get enough change to get back on the bus. Every single day the same. I would get up at 6, scrounge for change, eat a sausage and muffin with eggs, stare at the blue house, scrounge for change, get back on the bus. And every single day, as I would look at this beautiful scenery with amazing, like, beautiful homes and beaches and ocean and people holding hands and working out and all of these things. I would see all these families. I would see all these people, but nobody would ever see me. Nobody would ever look me in the eyes, ever. They'd look above me, they'd look below me, to the left of me, to the right of me, but no one would ever make eye contact with me. And most importantly, and the thing that hurt the most, is that no one would ever say my name. Like, there's so much power in a name, right? So much power, so much identity, so much of us is attached to our name, right? Sean Bradley, powerful, right? It's my daughter Savannah right here. Everybody say, give a round of applause for my daughter Savannah over here. She loves attention, right? She loves it. Yeah. Woo! Just kidding. Right? Katie. Right? There's just so much power in a name, and no one would ever say my name. So homelessness became like Groundhog Day. Every day was just the same. Every day was just the same. Every day was just the same. Eat the sandwich, look at the house, get some change. Eat the sandwich, look at the house, get some change, right? And over time, that homelessness became a deep depression. And that deep depression, it was like Bill Murray, Groundhog Day, right? Like that deep depression became suicidal thoughts. And those suicidal thoughts ultimately became a suicide attempt. I tried to drown myself in the Pacific Ocean. During that suicide attempt, God literally plucked me out of the ocean, placed me back on the beach, and whispered powerful words that I want you to write down on your notes, papers, your cell phones right now. He whispered the most powerful words into my ear in that moment. He said, "You take yourself wherever you go." And when I heard those words, "You take yourself wherever you go," I was like, what is this? Some sort of like fortune cookie or something? Like, you take yourself wherever you go. I was like, what does this mean? And then it hit me. Every negative situation that I had been in, every city I had lived in, every circle of friends that I had, all of those were different. There was only one constant. Me. I was the only constant in every negative situation that had happened in my life. And so it posed the question, wait a minute, if I am the catalyst of all things negative in my life, does that mean I can be the catalyst for good things in my life? And if so, how is that possible? Where does that come from? Where do we have this ability to choose our reality, to choose our existence? I didn't know the answer. And so I started to explore, right? I started to explore more. I'm like, man, I got to figure this thing out because I've been living my life mind and body. If it looked good and it felt good, the answer was yes. And this is not working out for me. Homeless, warrants, in and out of jail. I went to jail 17 times between age 20 and 30. It wasn't working. Lost custody of my daughter. I'm like, I got to find a different way. So I started looking at it. I'm like, what is this thing in us that allows us to create something new, to create something different? And what I found is this crazy word. It's called spirit. Mind, body, spirit. I'm like, oh, mind, body, spirit. I think I've heard that before somewhere. So I started to study, what does that look like? What does that look like? And I studied Scientology, Buddhism, Catholicism, all of these things. And ultimately, I found a spiritual connection to myself through Jesus Christ, the works of Jesus Christ. And what was fascinating is once I understood where I came from, I started to understand who I am. And when you understand who you are, then you start to understand the value you bring to the table. And instead of being reactive to other people's, why is your family more important than your career, you get to become active, an active participant in the identity you want to shape for the future. So fast forward, I landed in Lexington, Kentucky. I meet my wife, right? Any Kentucky folks? Where's my Kentucky folks, right? Fast forward, I land in Lexington, Kentucky. I meet my wife. My wife and I end up having 7 kids together. Yes, I have 8 children. Who's got more than me? Part-time parents up in here. So I meet my wife, right? We have Savannah, who's right here. We have Savannah, and my wife says to me, because at the time I'm running like a free poker league, I'm still trying to figure stuff out, and my wife says to me, dude, you must get a real job. We have a child on the way. And I'm like, yo, I don't want to do that again, right? So the only thing I know how to do is sell cars. So I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm going to make a choice. Instead of allowing the industry of automotive to shape me, I'm going to shape the industry of automotive. Let's go. You and I are the catalysts of change. You and I get to choose what it looks like moving forward. Sean Bradley has set this event up amazing, and he's set you up with all kinds of tools and all kinds of amazing people. Call Review's amazing, by the way. He set you up with all of these things, but I can promise you a tool is not going to take you where you want to go. A tool is required to help you get where you want to go. You must choose where it is you're going. That decision might not be fun, it might not be friendly, a lot of people might not like it, but you've got to make a choice. You see, when I moved to Lexington, Kentucky, made a choice to get back in automotive, I found this poor, rundown old dealership in Paris, Kentucky, population 9,600 people. This dealership had wood panels on the walls, lawn tables and lawn chairs in the showroom. They were literally smoking cigarettes the day I walked in, wearing flannels and Carhartts. I walked in a suit, distinguished, my suit and tie. I said, look, man, I've been a sales manager, I've been a finance manager, I've been a GSM, I've been all these things, and you need me on your team. And the owner said, that's great, buddy, you can sell cars if you like. I said, I don't care where you put me. I'm here to change this industry. So they put me in sales. I ran sales for 4 months. They made me a manager. I went from manager to sales manager to GSM, ultimately became the GM. My career exploded, and we grew that dealership 800%. We went from selling 120 cars a month to my best month, we sold 1,143 units. 27 business days, closed on Sundays. Tiny town. Population 9,600. People ask me all the time, what did you do? What tools did you use? What was the connections? What was the strategies? What was the processes? And I can answer it all the same way. We made a decision on who we are. And along the way, we had to burn some relationships. Along the way, we had to literally look at, what is everything, what is it that every consumer hates about the car business? What is it that every person who's working in the dealership hates about the car business? And how can we do everything exactly opposite of that? We claimed our identity. Our identity was we were going to be the largest used car volume dealership in the United States of America. Once you choose the identity, you can now take the actions to take control. Determining who you are determines the reality of your existence. Does that sound fair? So we made a choice, and I'm going to challenge you to do the same. I'm going to challenge you right now to ask that question. Say, who am I? Not your labels or your titles, not your politics or the different things that you believe, but like, who are you? And once you get really clear on who you are, mind, body, and spirit, I want to challenge you to ask the same question about your business. Are you still smoking cigarettes and putting people in trunks because that's who you used to be? Or have you made a decision to carve a new path that ultimately is going to get you to the reality you're reaching for? Now listen, at this event, you're going to have a lot of things thrown at you, right? It's like a fire hydrant just blasting everything, all this information, right? You're going to be here for 3 days. Sean Bradley really knows how to do it up. This guy really knows how to do it up, right? So you're going to get blasted with all of this information. So I don't want to give you a bunch of stats and a bunch of data today. I just want to give you permission to ask that question. Who am I? The way you answer that will ultimately determine the results in both your life and in your dealerships. My name is Glenn Lundy. I am a husband to 1. I am a father to 8. I am the owner of the 800% Elite Automotive Club, and it is an absolute honor to have shared the stage with you today. Thank you.
How many cars was the store you were at selling, and what was the number one thing that you can say you implemented that really changed that store? I mean, I know you gave the general overview.
I got you. So we were selling 120 when I started. We settled in right around 850. 600 of those were roughly used. 250 of those were new. I'll give you a quick equation that helped us get there. It's called the 8531 formula. And I actually write about this in my book. I just wrote a book called The Legacy Titles, 12 Proven Principles to Grow Your Dealership 800%. Everyone here is getting a copy for free. Jessica, we have copies, we have books here. Where's Jessica? Yeah, that's Jessica Bailey right there. We've got books here. I think I'm going to sign some a little bit later, right, for your event. So everyone gets a copy, okay? 8531 formula. Here's where it starts. The lowest number is 1. I need every salesperson to sell 1 car a day every day they're at work. And that is not their responsibility to do so, it's mine. I am the leader of the organization. Just like at McDonald's, everybody gets golden, crispy, salty French fries no matter what McDonald's you go to in the world. If you work at my dealership as a salesperson, you will sell a minimum of 1 car a day every day that you're at work, because we have a system in place to make sure that happens. The system is the 8531 formula. 1 sold per salesperson per day. How do I guarantee that? I got to get 3 people in front of that person. No matter whether the salesperson's good or not good, if I get 3 people in front of them, they're going to sell 1. How do I get 3 people in front of them? I set 5 appointments because my appointments show at about 60%. How do I get 5 appointments? I got to generate 8 leads. 8 leads, converting at 60% is going to get me 5 appointments. Converting at 60% is going to get me 3 shows, which is going to guarantee 1 car sold per day per salesperson. So the 8531 formula was truly the catalyst on how we were able to scale from 100 to 200 to 300 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 to 8. I can't even say 9 because I never sold 9, but I did sell 1,143. And it was really the catalyst of the 8531 formula. Is that helpful, Tim?
Yeah. Glenn, just because of the time, again, what's going to happen is tonight he's going to be signing his books. We're going to have plenty of time. We only got time for one last question. I'm going to ask it, and then we're going to go to the next session. Okay, so Glenn, it's an important question because if we're honest, I talked to Corey, talked to all the top trainers out there. How do you get dealers to follow the yellow brick road? Because I know we're in the same category, same thing with Grant, is that some of these dealers are in this room, they'll hire a consultant and a trainer because they want change. They'll stroke a large check, but the actual commitment to following through without Frankensteining sometimes isn't, realistic. So how can you get these dealers to follow the plan that a high-level coach puts in without Frankensteining it?
Yeah, so 2 things. It's a discussion that we have in the very beginning, right? I have potential dealers that will reach out and say, hey, I want to join your 800% club. And I'm like, okay, great. Do you consider yourself open-minded? Are you willing to put in work? Do you understand this is not a light switch, that it takes a certain investment of time, right? We have that conversation. And if I sense ego, if I sense any closed-mindedness, so on and so forth, no thanks, but no thanks. Like, I love you and I wish you the best, but it's simply not going to work. So that's the first thing. The second part is I have very small, simple disciplines and processes that I work with dealers on, both at home and at work, so that they can start initiating change in their life. One of them is the morning 5, 5 simple steps to 5 simple steps to an extraordinary life. First thing in the morning, no snooze button, no phone, write down your gratitude and goals, take care of yourself physically, send out an encouraging message. If I can get a dealer to do those 5 things every single day for a period of 67 days, and there's science behind that, you can read my book, for a period of 67 days, it now becomes easier for them to do than not do, and their brain starts to unlock what's possible so that we can continue to expose them to more strategies with 800%.
Well, listen, everybody, Glenn Lundy, round of applause, please.
Woo,
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. All right, and again.
Listen, if you don't have access to Bradley On Demand, you're missing out on crucial information. The top automotive groups like Coons, Lithia, and Norm Reeves have all used Bradley On Demand to train their teams. And guess what? The world's #1 car salesman, Cody Carter, shares his exclusive strategies right here. You want his secrets? You gotta have Bradley On Demand. Stop waiting and start winning. Dominate your market. Click the link and get access now.